No, this isn't clickbait. It's not a lie in any kind of way, shape, or form. I actually did quit my job. So it's 2021. I quit my job in the end of January 2021. And I didn't have anything lined up, and I still don't have anything lined up. And I am just now very, very much unemployed. I wanted to make this video both for myself and for anybody else who is thinking about maybe quitting their job but just doesn't have the guts to do it. It was a really hard decision for me, and even though not all of my problems have been solved by quitting my job, I am very happy that I did it, and I do think it was the right move for me. So to give you a little summary of my job and the place that I was working, I had just graduated with my master's degree from Georgetown, and I was desperate to find a position. I had never been without a job ever since the day I was old enough to work. I have been working. Even when I was in school, I've always had something. I've always had a job. So when I graduated with my master's degree, I graduated with a lot of debt. I had about $50,000 worth of student loan debt. And the only thing I was thinking is, how can I pay this debt off as fast as possible? And how can I get myself kickstarted in my sector, which is international development? I went to school studying migration, and I wanted to work in the international development space. I wanted to work with refugees and immigrants in like the humanitarian sector. I suspected at the time that it would be a difficult field to break into, but I sort of underestimated how difficult, and I was basically willing to do anything just to get my foot in the door. I had some standards, like I wanted to at least make $50,000 since I had $50,000 in student loans, and at the time I was in a relationship, and the deal between my partner and I was that he would pay all of the bills, and then all of my salary would go towards paying off my student loans. So I wanted to pay off my student loans in a year, and the only standard I had to do that was to get a job that paid me $50,000 a year. You have to understand that for me, $50,000 is a lot of money. My best paying job before then was a short-time contract working for the Smithsonian. I made $20 an hour, and I thought that was incredible. Like, I couldn't believe how good that was. All of my other full-time jobs were in retail. I worked in restaurants. I worked in a grocery store. And max through all of those jobs, I never made more than $13 an hour. So for me to go from making, $25,000, $30,000 a year in a good year to be making double that, $50,000 in a year, that was like, this is amazing. Like, yes, girl, I will take it, right? So I'm applying nonstop to positions that I actually want to do, but I'm not hearing back from them. So I'm getting a little bit more desperate, and I apply to some like positions that I think I'm overqualified for, but I'm hoping will get me a foot in the door. And one of those positions is the job that I just quit from. It was a coordinator role, which, if anybody knows, it's kind of like being a secretary in a way, but like they don't call it that. You could be like an office manager type of person. Basically, you're some sort of administrative assistant, and you're doing a lot of administrative work, but at the same time, you can do other work that somebody who gets paid a lot more than you would normally do. So this was at a global health nonprofit. I'm thinking, okay, well, I can start in this role, and then I can transition to where I really want to be, which is working with beneficiaries, working in the field, working with people. And this will be a great growth opportunity for me. And the pay was good. It fit what I wanted to me. It was close by to where I was living. It was metro accessible. It had good benefits. It just seemed like a good fit. And I also really liked the people that I interviewed with. They were just really, really great. They were just really great people. So I start this job, and I actually really, really love it. The first 6 months plus are amazing. I'm really enjoying my work. I'm learning a ton about the nonprofit space. I love my boss. He's incredible. He is like super nice, really supportive, gives great constructive feedback, and is also really accepting of feedback from me. And he gives me a lot of responsibilities that are allowing me to learn new things. And at the time, I knew I was doing more than I was being paid for. But I was okay with it because I was waiting for basically them to give me a promotion, right? Like at the time, it was mutually beneficial. Like I'm doing extra work that is giving me experience, and I'm helping you guys out, but I'm making a lower salary. So like, that's okay. I'm gaining the experience that I needed in the sector, and you are saving money, I guess. I had remembered reading reviews on Indeed about this place before I started because I wanted to check out, or maybe it was Glassdoor, like whatever site employees leave reviews on. And I had seen some bad ones, but they were from years prior. And so I thought, maybe things were different. But as I was there, people started to quit on my team. And, it was kind of concerning to me, but I didn't really think about it because I didn't know those people that well, and I just thought, they're moving on, and they shielded me from the reasons that they were quitting, right? They were just like, goodbye party, happy, joy, things are fine. I'm just moving on to a new position. A few months into my position, I actually get 2 more bosses. They split my time between 3 people. One, the boss who I really like, a second boss who I really like, and a third boss who is basically emotionally abusive. I have sympathy and compassion for that boss because her job was very stressful, but the way that she handled that stress was not professional at all. And this is around the time that things really started to get bad. And I won't go into all of the details, but basically working with her was awful. And there were many complaints made to HR from other people, and eventually she got fired. So fast forward to November of 2019, and my boss gets fired. My boss and 2 of my colleagues, who I really, really like, all get fired on the same day at the same time. It is totally random to me. I do not see it coming. I am taken aback. And then immediately after, in fact, my boss comes out of his meeting with our vice president, which I later found out is the meeting that he was being fired in. He walks past me and he's like, "Oh, she wants to talk to you." And so I go into my meeting and she offers me a promotion and a raise. This is about a 10K raise, and the promotion is doing more. It's not doing what I want to do, but it's having more responsibility and growing on the team. And I want growth. Like from my first day, from my very first interview, they knew that I was looking to grow at this organization. They knew that I wanted to transfer to a different team. They knew that I wanted to learn and that I was open and excited and willing to take on new responsibilities. So I was like, yeah, this is great. I will take it. And then she's like, "Oh, and by the way, we just fired your boss." And I was like, what? Wait, what? This is weird because I really I want to be excited that you're offering me a promotion right now, but also you fired my boss who's like incredible. Like, what's happening here? And she's like, no, don't worry about it. Sometimes decisions just have to be made. This is a restructuring. We didn't want to do it, but it was a hard decision. And this is just how it has to be, right? So I'm really taken aback. I don't know what to do. And then I come out and I realize that all 3 of those colleagues are gone. My boss, who had been called into that meeting, by the time I came out, all of his stuff was packed. And then my two other colleagues, we were actually all in a meeting together. It was really sketchy. We were all in a meeting together, our whole team of like 20 people. And all three of them got called out at the same time. And it was really weird. Like, why would we have an all hands meeting and why would you call out these three people? But like, nobody thought they were going to get fired. And actually, even one person on the team made a joke like, ooh, you're in trouble. Somebody's getting fired. And then, like, what do you know? What do you know? They actually did get fired. So that was bad. And that was bad because it was around that time that I started to realize that my boss shielded me from a lot of the negativity and the toxicity of this work environment. He was like a very positive, uplifting guy. I knew he was stressed and I knew he was working extra hours. I didn't realize how bad it was for him. And I'm grateful to him for doing that for me because it made my time at that organization in the beginning much more enjoyable. But once he left, there was no one to shield me. So my first boss gets fired. My second boss gets fired because of HR complaints. My third boss, who I worked with like a lot less than the other three and who I still, really enjoy spending time with, she ends up getting a new coordinator. So she doesn't need me anymore. So now I am focused solely on this one team that is without a leader. And the VP steps in to be our leader temporarily. So temporarily, she is my like interim boss. So one of my colleagues on my team with the boss who was fired, she takes over for the VP as my interim boss. And the thing is, this colleague and we got off to a really bad start. I didn't know at the time that she didn't get along with my boss who was fired. And I just feel like she was biased against me from the beginning because what had happened was my boss who was fired, let's call him Ted. Ted was having some trouble with my new boss. Let's call her Sarah. Ted was having some trouble with Sarah. And when Ted hired me, part of his goal for my position was to project manage Sarah. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's what he was trying to do. And Sarah has been working in this field for, over 15 years. So she feels very knowledgeable. She does a good job. She works very hard. She just didn't have a good working relationship with Ted. So Ted used me to control her, and I didn't know that. So here I was trying to do the responsibilities that Ted laid out for me, and in the process, I am trying really hard not to, but I am burning a lot of bridges with Sarah. And then Ted gets fired, and Sarah becomes my boss, and what do you know? Things do not go well. So a couple problems here. One, I start working with Sarah the same way that I worked with Ted. And Sarah and Ted are very different supervisors. Very different. And this is my fault. Like, I should have approached that situation differently. I should have asked Sarah about her work style. I should have, had more conversations with her in the beginning, but I didn't. And in my defense, she didn't either. So she was already biased against me because of what happened with Ted. And then I was supposed to go to this event, and she kept talking about the event as if it wasn't really that important. I scheduled the event, but it was like early in the morning. It ended up being on a day that I was working from home. And I was going to have to get on the metro at like 5 a.m. to get there on time. And I'm thinking in my mind, well, this event isn't that important. And I have other work that I need to be doing. And I am going to have to get up really early. And I'm paid hourly, by the way. So going to have to get up really early to go to this event. So I just decided, not to go at the last minute. Like, I tell the organizer of the event, like, I'm really sorry. I wish I could come, but something has come up and I just can't go. And I don't bother telling Sarah about it because I'm thinking this event isn't important. It's like no big deal. And Sarah finds out later, and she thinks that I lied to her and that I was purposefully hiding this information from her. And she blows her gasket. She gets so mad at me. She just loses her shit. And from then on, Sarah does not trust me anymore. No, nothing ever again. She does not trust me again. Between that one event and what happened in the past with Ted and Sarah and their dynamic and how I was unknowingly involved in that negativity, anything I do, Sarah doesn't like. And me, like, I'm an anxious, perfectionist type of person, and I'm a people pleaser. So I work the hardest when I know that my work is being appreciated, when I know that people like me and like what I'm doing, and when I'm getting a lot of positive reinforcement. And Sarah was a nitpicker. So any mistake that I made, Sarah would point it out and act like it was the end of everything. Like, absolutely everything. And so this created a really bad dynamic between Sarah and I, to the point where I was ready to quit in the beginning of 2020. But Sarah was always supposed to be my interim boss, right? It was always supposed to be temporary. So they're hiring a new person for this position that my old boss, Ted, was doing. And I'm like, okay, well, soon I won't have to work with Sarah anymore. Pretty soon I'll have a new boss. Well, new boss starts. Let's call her Felicia. Let's call her Felicia. So Felicia starts, and Felicia is very nice. However, Felicia is not good with technology. Felicia is the kind of human being that literally struggles to turn on her computer, right? I'm very, very patient. So this doesn't bother me. I'm like, all right, I'll teach you how to turn on your computer. I'll teach you how to PDF this document. I'll teach you how to use your email. No worries. I will go over it with you over and over and over again until you finally get it. It really doesn't bother me. Like, my MBTI personality type is ENFJ. My Clifton Strengths type is developer. Like, everything about my personality is like a teacher. I want to help people. I want to encourage people. I want to help them understand, educate them. It's like no problem for me at all to teach her how to use these technologies that she struggles with, right? I mean, I'm confused. She's making a lot of money and she took on this position, so you would think that she knew how to use a computer, but like, whatever. I'm thinking, she has a lot of experience in the sector. It's fine. So things don't start getting bad between Felicia and I until Felicia starts getting upset with me that I have to teach her these things. I'll be teaching her something and she'll be like, oh, no, I know how to do that. I know. I already know. But you don't know, which is why you just emailed me asking me to PDF a Word document for you. She'd be like, oh yeah, I already know how to save a document, but like, then why are you saving everything to your desktop and not to the shared drive? Like, why? So things start going south with Felicia and I. I mean, I still like her, but like every once in a while she has this attitude that's like really pretentious. And I know in my heart that it's because she's self-conscious that she's not good with technology, but it hurts me, like that she's rude to me. She'll just like yell at me about something. It's like, I have no control over that. I'm just trying to help you. I don't know what you want me to do, right? So Felicia and I are getting along, right? Things are good. She's mean sometimes, but she's pretty sweet overall. And I actually see a lot of really cool changes happening to the team. We're raising more money. Like, she has her flaws, but she's doing a good job. She's doing a good job. And I'm excited for, her vision for the team. I'm excited for how things are moving forward. And now I can have a colleague relationship with Sarah. So there's that dynamic is so much better. Like, we're much better as colleagues than we were as supervisor and supervisee, you know? So things are going good. Slowly over time, though, my job is becoming much less what my promotion said it should be and much more administrative, like so much administration. And I'm thinking in the beginning, oh, this is just because Felicia needs some help. Like she's having trouble, adjusting to a new job. So it'll just be temporary. Once she figures things out, my job will go back to what it was before. But over time, I'm realizing this is not the case. And like I said, am this type of person who really gets my energy from talking to others, from helping others, from educating others, which is why I always wanted to work directly with beneficiaries. And this was just a foot in the door for me. But my job is becoming so isolated. Like, I'm basically not working with anybody. I'm just doing everybody's busy work. I'm doing so much administrative work. I am having zero responsibility, and slowly over time, my job is getting more and more and more and more boring, to the point where I am boring for me, right? Other people might have loved this type of work, but this was not what I signed up for. This isn't what I wanted to do. And I'm becoming very unhappy and very unmotivated. This coupled with a couple of other things where if I do something good, Felicia was giving credit to other people and not credit to me, which was really upsetting for me as somebody who really needs positive reinforcement. Yeah, so I'm starting to feel bad about my position again. So I think, I'm almost coming up on 2 years in this position. This is my foot in the door. I shouldn't be staying here. I got a promotion 8 months after I started. That's a good indicator that I am a hard worker and am doing a good job. But it's time for me to move on to another team. So let me start asking around and seeing what I can do to make myself a better candidate to move to another team, right? Another team where I'm playing more off my strengths, doing more what I want to do and what I went to school for. I started asking around, and I'm networking within the team, and an opportunity comes up from somebody on another team. And basically, they're like, look, we've got a meeting with the board today. It's not guaranteed, but I think we're going to have a job for you. You're amazing. I think you would fit our team so well. Everybody says great things about you. You are awesome. I want you to join our team. And I'm like, oh, cool. This is great, right? This is awesome. Thanks. Let's do it. What do you think? Should I tell Felicia, or should I, keep it under wraps until, we're sure that this is definitely going to pan out, because it's kind of a done deal, but also not. And this person on another team is like, yeah, no, definitely tell Felicia, because you don't want her to be taken aback. You don't want her to be surprised and then have to worry about finding another person. So I take his advice, but I come into it thinking, I'm being a little negative about it. I'm like, well, it's not 100% sure. We don't know if I'm going to get this other position. So I go to Felicia during our one-on-one, and I'm like, hey, I know you started after I started. And a lot of people on the team are new, so maybe you don't know this, but my goal at this organization has always been to grow and to learn more. And eventually I want to work on another team. And I'm hoping that I can take on some more responsibility on our team, be more involved in some of the projects that work with this other team, so that I can eventually grow and learn new things. And Felicia's like, oh my gosh, I am so glad you brought that up, because I've been meaning to tell you that I have been working on changing your job description for about a month now. You are not going to be surprised by it at all, but it is going to be different. So you should just know that. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Thanks for telling me. This isn't a surprise to me, right? Because I've been at this organization for less than 2 years, and my job description has already been updated twice. And during that entire time, my actual role was way different than my job description. So job description to me, it's whatever, it's not a big deal. I just do whatever they want me to do. So I'm not really thinking about it. at the end of the day, I'm like texting my friends, like, oh yeah, Felicia told me today that she wants to change my job description. And one of my friends was like, did you ask her? Is she going to change your salary too? And I was like, nah, no way. She would never do that. Are you kidding me? Like, the thought hadn't even crossed my mind. My friend was like, yeah, you should just double check. Just make sure. And so I go to Felicia the next day and I'm like, hey, I was just thinking about what we talked about yesterday. And I wanted to know, does the change in job description come with a salary change? And Felicia's like, that's possible. Like, maybe. And I was like, oh, okay. Thanks. And then a couple hours, I'm still thinking about it because I'm that kind of person that just like stews over things. Like, once I'm stuck on something, I can't get over it, right? And I'm like, she said it's possible. Like, how possible? So I message her on Teams. I'm like, how likely is it that my salary is going to change? And she's like, oh yeah, it's like basically 100%. Like, it's almost definitely going to change. And I was like, wait, what? You have been working on changing my job description for over a month, knew that as a result my salary was going to change, and didn't tell me, and waited until I told you that I wanted to grow and take on more responsibility to tell me that actually my job description is going to change and my salary is going to decrease and my position is going to become even more administrative on paper. It's like, I'm already doing a lot of admin work, but this whole time I was like justifying it to myself because, like, well, they're making me do administrative work, but at least they're paying me my promotion salary, right? Like, that's worth it to me. But then they take away my pay raise and I'm stuck doing this work that I don't want to do. And I'm like, oh, what? Really? So she's like, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to talk about it with HR. So, I come prepared for my meeting with HR. I'm like looking over this new job description. I'm looking at my past two, and I'm doing like an analysis of all three. And I'm like, actually, these aren't that different. Like, I highlight all the areas where the wording is different. They're almost exactly the same, but like some words are a little bit off. But the meaning of all of the bullet points and like the skills for the positions are basically exactly the same. So I'm like, well, if the three job descriptions are the same, and like one is $53,000, that's my starting rate. The second is $63,000, that's my promotion rate. And the third is, at this time, an undetermined amount, but is going to be less. And I'm like, well, here is my argument. Like, I bring a lot of value to the team. No one knows how to do the things that I know how to do. I'm very important. You all use me as a source of information, like institutional information about the team, even though I'd only been there for 2 years. But you have to understand, like, I was one of 4 people on our 30-person team who had been there the longest. Everybody else had been fired or had quit since then. So I was like a very important member of this team. So I'm comparing the job descriptions, I'm talking to them about it, and basically the end of the story is, the answer is no. Like, we're changing your pay and we're changing it by $10,000. And I'm like, wait, what? That's a lot of money. And they're like, well, we would like to dock it even more, but we don't want to put you below what you started at. So we're giving you your starting salary plus whatever merit increase that you would have gotten had you not gotten your initial promotion, which was about $1,000. So they were putting me at $54,000. So they were putting me at where I started, 53, adding another 1,000 on it. And my boss, Felicia, had the nerve to tell me this was a very generous offer. I have been around the block. I know what these types of positions are paid, and we are giving you a lot of money. And I was like, well, I've been around the block, and I know what kind of employees are valuable and what kinds aren't. And I'm a very valuable employee. Like, I work very hard. I can be very motivated. If you give me the right environment to work in, I will work my ass off for you and I will enjoy it and you will enjoy it. And that's why I got a promotion within 8 months of working here, because I am a good worker. I'm a hard worker. That is part of my DNA. I'm very proud of it. It is what makes me me. And she's like, no, sorry. I can't do anything about it. So we're offering you a severance package. If you want to leave, you can take 2 weeks worth of pay, or on January 1st, your new salary is going to take hold. And so this was all happening in December, in early December. And they're like, we'll give you some time to think about it. So I'm thinking on it and I'm like, well, damn. Like, what am I going to do, right? The position that I was going to move to this other team for didn't pan out. They didn't actually have enough funding for it, so I didn't end up getting it. Now I'm stuck on my team. I'm going to be making less money than I made the year prior, and now I'm in a position that I don't like. And the whole situation seems super shady to me, right? Like, my boss, Felicia, kind of lied to me about it. She should have told me as soon as she started working on it, but she didn't. I had to pull teeth a bit to get the information out of her. And then on top of that, all these people are quitting and being fired, and everybody is like working nonstop, like way more than 40 hours a week. And everyone's working their butts off, and there's like no positive reinforcement. And I'm just thinking, like, this job gives me so much stress and anxiety. I absolutely hate it. And now I have to do it, and I have to do it and make less money. So I'm thinking about it, and I don't really take my vacation time. So I had accumulated quite a bit of vacation time during my time there. And my salary was going to change on January 1st. And I was thinking about it, and my vacation time after January 1st, even though I had accrued it at a certain salary, it was going to be paid out at my new salary. So the way that vacation time works is that they just give you hour for hour your rate. So if you have, like 40 hours of vacation, then they will give you 40 hours of paid time off. So if I took the time in December, it was going to be at my 2020 hourly rate. But if I took the time in January or after that, it was going to be at my 2021 hourly rate, which was a whole $10,000 less. And I was like, yo, fuck that noise. No, I'm going to take all my vacation right now. So I took all my vacation days that month in December at the last minute, like no notice, whatever. I took like a whole, I think like 2 or 3 weeks worth of vacation time just out of the blue, because I wanted to use it. If I was going to be paid to take off, I wanted to be paid to not work at my old rate, not the new rate, right? So I'm on vacation and I'm just chilling. Like, I hadn't taken a vacation in a long time, and I felt a lot better. I felt a lot better when I was not working. And then my vacation is coming to an end, and it's like Sunday, and all of the stress and anxiety and just all of the emotions I have wrapped up in this position all come back to me on that Sunday. And I realized in that moment how awful I felt just working this job, like how bad it was for my mental health. I was crying all the time. I was always stressed. I couldn't talk about anything but work. I really didn't get along with a lot of my supervisors during the entirety of this position. I felt like a lot of the times they were being verbally abusive to me and yelling at me in front of my colleagues. And I was doing work that I absolutely hated, and my boss knew that, and she didn't care. And then to top all that off, they change my pay. They reward all this hard work that I'm giving to them, all of the sacrifices that I'm making for them. They reward that with a $10K pay cut. and they tell me that I should be grateful for it. And all of that emotion that I felt about this position was just overwhelming. And so when I went on vacation and those emotions went away, when they suddenly came back and they were so like intense, it was amazing, right? Like in the worst way possible, negative amazing. To go from feeling like totally relaxed to absolutely horrendous and awful was like black and white. And I was like, yeah, dude, I cannot stay here anymore. Like, I need to find a new job ASAP. So I'm talking it over with my therapist. You know, we're trying to figure out like applying for new jobs and all this stuff. And I'm just like so burnt out from my position that I don't have the mental energy or capacity to even apply for other jobs or like do anything in my personal life. It's just like work or nothing. Binge watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Trash TV all day long. And it's really bad, guys. I'm like procrastinating so hard on my daily task that I am not doing anything during the day. And then I'm staying up really late at night to get everything done. Like I'm still getting all my work done, but I'm doing it like I'm pulling all-nighters and I'm at work. Like I don't want to feel like I'm in college again. I don't want to be pulling all-nighters. This is not working. Like it's not working. It's way too much stress than it's worth, right? And 10K pay cut? No, dog, no. So I come back and I'm like, all right, all I have to do is survive long enough to get another job. And then my first day back, it's awful and I can't handle it. Like in comparison to my vacation, it was just too much. And so the thought comes to my mind, well, like, what if I just quit my job? Like I had joked with my friends about it, I'm just going to quit. Whatever, I don't care. YOLO, quitting. But I was never really thinking seriously about it. And then I thought about it some more and I was like, well, actually, this is probably the best time in my life to quit a job. I have no kids. I have no commitments. I pay really, really cheap rent for the area that I live in. I have money saved. So I have enough money to last me 5 months, living very frugally, mind you. I have about $5,000 saved and I have a budget of about $1,000 a month. So I could last without a job for at least $5,000 if I don't get a job at all, but like I could get a part-time and do that and also not be working in this type of environment. Like, why am I putting myself and my mental health through this struggle when I just really don't have to? So at that point, quitting my job becomes a real possibility. But I brought it up with my therapist and she was like, look, Tiffany, no matter where you go, there is always going to be a boss like this. You're always going to have people that you work with that you have trouble getting along with. So I want you to really think it through. Like, do you think that by quitting this job, you are actually going to solve your problems? Or do you think that by quitting this job, you're just going to be running away from them? Like, is there something that you can learn from this experience? And I was like, all right, I'm going to keep that in mind. And I really thought for a while, I really truly thought I am going to be able to keep going until I get a new job. And then I had this meeting with Felicia and a couple of my other colleagues. And during the meeting, Felicia mentioned that she wanted me to do some more data entry. This is not like, an hour's worth of data entry. She wants me to do 2 full weeks worth of data entry. And she wants, a huge part of my job to become just doing data entry. And the thought of doing data entry just like made my heart drop. I hate data entry. I'm not good at it. I get numbers confused. I make a lot of typos. I find it really, really, really boring. And to be honest, I didn't go to school and get myself into $50,000 worth of debt to do data entry. Like I could have done that without my degree. How is this helping me? It's not. It's not helping me at all. It's not moving me forward. I'm not learning anything. I'm just doing data entry. No. And it was in that moment that I realized that I didn't want to quit because of Felicia. I wanted to quit because I truly, truly, truly hated my job. I did not enjoy what I was doing, and it was not getting me anywhere. It was not helping me. It wasn't propelling me towards any sort of future that I wanted. And not only that, but it was impeding me from being able to do a job that I actually cared about, because I was so mentally exhausted and anxious and stressed from this position that I didn't even have the time or mental energy at the end of the day to sit down and submit an application. So that very day, I decided to quit my job. And I did. I did. About 3 hours later, I had a meeting with Felicia, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that I would like to put in my 2 weeks notice. I was very professional. I offered to help her out. I was like, I want to leave you guys in a good position. I want to leave the team in a place where, they don't feel stuck. And I actually care about my colleagues. I love my teammates. And I want them to succeed. And I want you, Felicia, to succeed as well, even though you didn't want me to succeed. And she was blown away. She did not see it coming. She was literally so surprised. I'm thinking to myself, like, how out of touch must you be that you did all of this stuff to me? You cut my pay. You gave me a position you knew that I didn't like. You changed my position, and you took out my favorite part of it and gave it to another team. You yelled at me. You gave other people credit for my work. You didn't think of me as a human being. How did you not see this coming? And the best moment was when she asked me if I had anything lined up, and I was like, yeah, maybe. I'm looking at some opportunities, but nothing solid yet. And she was like, wait, what? Like, she could not believe that I would be quitting this job without having anything else lined up to do next. And that was like the best revenge, y'all. The best revenge. And well, yeah, now I am unemployed. So I had my final 2 weeks at work. So I quit mid-January, and then I had 2 full weeks until February 1st. And during those 2 full weeks, I did literally nothing. Like, whatever I wanted to do, I did. I didn't force myself to do anything, apply for jobs, nothing. I didn't let myself get anxious. Every time the feelings started bubbling up, that like, oh God, I'm not doing enough. Like, I need a job. I got to figure this out right now. I just told myself to chill. Like, I was fine. I have enough money. Like, I'm going to make it work. Worst comes to worst, I will get a minimum wage job and I will still be fine, right? Like, nothing bad is going to happen. It's okay. Those are my first 2 weeks. Then February 1st rolls around, and that's my goal date for like starting to apply to jobs. And for that week, I didn't apply to anything. I was still very much burnt out and overwhelmed, and I just continued to do whatever it is that I wanted to do to make myself feel better. And now it's the second week of February, and I am continuing to do sort of the same thing. So hopefully soon, I'm not pressuring myself too much because I'm fine. Like, financially, I'm okay. I don't need a job right now. I have enough money saved that I just really want to take care of my mental health, and I really want to make sure that I am being kind to myself. But girl, don't get me wrong, like I get those feelings of like, oh, I'm not being productive enough. Like, oh, I gotta do something, gotta apply for a job. Like, why am I not working? I get anxious like that, but I just keep telling myself, like, it's okay. It's fine. There's nothing to worry about. And I want other people to know that too. Like, if you are working in a job that is toxic and doesn't treat you well, for people that don't care about you, first off, I want you to know that you need to put yourself first, right? Like, for so long, I put this organization before me. I put it before my mental health. I put it before my financial health and my career. But the organization always put itself first. My supervisors put themselves first. My colleagues put themselves first. I needed to put myself first. I needed to be my own advocate. I just needed to do what was best for me. And in this situation, what's best for me is not having a job. Even though it's COVID-19 and, the job market is difficult. Working in that position was so bad for my mental health that it wasn't worth staying in it for the security or stability, because it wasn't security, it wasn't stability. Like, I was not going to last much longer with a healthy mindset. I didn't even have a healthy mindset. I haven't had a healthy mindset for probably 2 full years since I first started there. So, yeah, I quit my job during the middle of a global pandemic. I have nothing lined up. I am anxious about it. I only have $5,000 in my checking account right now to get me by over the next 5 months, but I'm going to be okay. And if you are in a similar situation to me, I understand not everybody has the finances to be able to quit, but if you're in a scenario where it's your mental health or your job, choose your mental health. If you have the luxury and the privilege and the luck, if the stars are aligning for you and you can quit your job and the only thing standing between you and not working at this place that has a really negative impact on you is society's expectations or what you think you should do because other people tell you that, you shouldn't quit your job during COVID, or, you can't quit a job without having another one lined up. Society, all right? Do what you need to do what feels best to you. And if what feels best to you is to continue working there, keep doing that. But if what feels best to you is to quit your job, then do that too. Like, everything's gonna be okay. And now I have some really great content for my YouTube channel because I got job searching to do, I've got applications to do, I've got interviews to do, and I've got free time to make videos and let my creativity flow. So that's my story. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if this video added some sort of value to your life. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, hopefully I will never have to quit my job again without having another one lined up. But you never know, something might happen. Yeah, and I will see you in the next one.